So you've just listened to that. I thought I was going to have a monologue, but I don't think there's a need for one because, as you heard from Vogue there, he has just told us exactly what the swearing in was all about. If there's any other language, if you didn't understand that, you may want to do some rewind and listen again. You know what happened in French Cameroon. Now, one would think that after a 93-year-old would have imposed himself, rigged the elections by some means to have himself supposedly re-elected, that will be making the news wave. On the contrary, we saw some very strange organizations sending support and congratulating a victory that was clearly rigged in broad daylight. Now, the man who won the election is currently on the run. It is alleged that he's somewhere in northern Nigeria. We hope Nigerian leaders will not criminally, this time again, hand him over to Cameroon authorities like they did with our president, Sisiko Julius Ayuk Tabe. But that's not even my cause of concern. Like I said, one would have expected that after such a situation, it's going to make the news headline globally. Unfortunately, what has been trending for more than a week right now is what I'm about to play to you. President Donald Trump sending a stark warning to Nigeria. Let's listen.
Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands and thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. That's a legal definition. When the Christians or any such group is slaughtered, like is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide. What horrible numbers. Something has to be done. I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriations Committee, to immediately look into this matter and to report back to me. And I mean, like, immediately. The United States cannot stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. It's not only Nigeria, it's all over. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world. This is not going to happen. The killing of Christians is not going to happen.
The killing of Christians is not going to happen. Well, as you all know, politicians are trying to rewrite the narrative. They're changing the narratives. The question is they are okay, Nigerians are being killed by armed groups, blah, blah, blah. Some have accused Trump of trying to intrude. But one thing is clear and very clear. So you've had sharp and divided sides of the debate. On the other side, some are saying Donald Trump is interfering. We're going to find out that from some of the diplomats we have here, how that is interference. Others, why some think that this is a much needed intervention. But if you would have America intervene to support the government, because America is saying that they will not provide support. America provides military and economic support to Nigeria. America provides military and economic support to Cameroon. So the truth be told is civilians are dying, most especially Christians and Christian communities, by the Fulani herdsmen and Boko Haram. But where are the terrorist groups emanating from? Reports we have says that Boko Haram was created by members of government in Nigeria. Nigerians themselves have said that on TV. Nigerian government officials and politicians have patronized the Fulani herdsmen for political gains. Well, that's not going to be the focus of our discussion today. The exact same thing is happening in French Cameroon, and in Ambazonia, perpetrated by Cameroon government officials and their proxies. We all know of the Atanganji boys. So why am I saying this? Because I know the State Department watches this program every weekend. That it is happening in Cameroon in a smaller scale than it is happening in Nigeria, I'm not even sure. When we talk about smaller scale, what do we mean? Because the thousands or the number of people that have been killed and wasted by the terrorist army of Mr. Biya in the Southern Cameroons outweighs the number of people that have died in Nigeria within the past 10 years as supposedly killed by these terrorist groups. So you have number one person, the number one person that is, I would say, is the helper and the facilitator of this terrorist movement in the Cameroons is Paul Atanganji. As you all know, Paul Atanganji is an ex-convict. Reports has it that he negotiated his way out of prison. Actually, the Cameroonian government went into prison, negotiated him out of prison to use him to do their dirty jobs. Now, this is not just propaganda. This is not innuendo. This is not conspiracy theory. A Cameroonian army confessed that they are being facilitated to attack and kill civilians. That's what Paul Atanganji does. He's not using the Cameroon army. He creates his own private armed groups. Moja did it. Today, because he could not manage the situation, he is now in Kondengi. So Paul Atanganji, using the formula of the French to dismantle the peaceful movement, the Ambazonian liberation movement, he had to create his own Amba boys, the Atanganji boys. These guys are kidnappers. And the idea and the calculation of the Bulu regime in Yaoundé was that, okay, we're going to kill Ambazonians with guys representing as Ambazonians so that we will turn the population against the genuine Ambazonian fighters that are resisting the genocidal onslaught caused by the government. And so Atanganji had to recruit boys, funded them, gave them arms. In fact, we also had evidence of the fact that some ADF group of members were helped by Atanganji. During the last municipal elections, you had Frunzi, before he died, cried out and said, hey, this is what is happening. The ADF in Momo is not allowing me to campaign, but allows the CPDM and CPDM officials to campaign. So I believe that the United States Embassy in Yaoundé has sufficient resources to actually investigate this matter and report it duly to the State Department, the way it is. The Cameroonian government and its official, because Atanganji is a government official representing the government, threatening the church. We have videos. I just don't have time to play the video. This guy is threatening the church in the Cameroons, intimidating pastors to do campaigns for him on their altars instead of preaching the gospel. That's what Atanganji does. If that's not terrorism, what is it? And to crown it up all, very strangely, the DDR is a formula used after war. But Cameroon created DDR during war with the intention to manipulate and intimidate Ambazonian freedom fighters, bribe some of them who are hungry, kill them. So Cameroon's DDR is a hub of terrorist activity, because by norm and international regulations, you cannot put people in DDR. These are people that are supposed to be rehabilitated into societies if actually you have taken guns from them and pardoned them. But Cameroon traumatizes them and send them back into the bushes to go and give them intelligence on the Ambazonian fighters. And this is where Kunda Titus is a guy from Widikum. In 2016-2017, Kunda Titus left the United Kingdom. He does security in the United Kingdom, came to bury his mother a year in Widikum. And by so doing, he was arrested by the Amazonian fighters, because the Amazonian fighters arrest every person to investigate to find out if you are a spy. They had no negative intention. Later on, he was released. He went back to the UK, and truly, the reason why he was arrested was because he was a spy. They had intelligence that he was a spy of the Cameroon government. So he was arrested. But because he's a son of the soil, he was released. No harm was done to him. Since then until now, this guy has not only waged a war against the legal Ambazonian movement. What he doesn't understand is that the Ambazonian movement is legal under international law. He has waged a war against Ambazonians on the social media, and he has not ended there. Kunda Titus also has recruited armed dealers on the ground. And these armed dealers kill Ambazonians on daily basis. They identify fighters. When they try to manipulate you, they are using two systems: manipulation and intimidation. When they both do not work for you to join their camp, they kill you. So Kunda Titus should be able to answer if he's a government official and who is funding him. And he does this with impunity because the Cameroonian government funds his dirty deals, and he does them. Now, very quickly, before I get the lawyers to get to briefly comment on this, very, very quickly, there's Ngala Gerard. Yeah, he's a billionaire. As a lawyer, the source of his income is questionable. He's a billionaire, we are told. Forbes does not have any record of him or any of the businesses he has done. But we know people like him, how they get money. So Ngala Gerard, as a billionaire, because you cannot be a billionaire, genuine billionaire, and freely work in Cameroon. Cameroon government is not comfortable if you have financial liberty. And that's why they had to do everything to crumble the Fosso empire. If Fosso is in jail today, because they suspected Cameroon government, anybody that's financially viable, if you're not loyal to them, you're going to get you out of the way. So how is Ngala Gerard existing? Ngala Gerard is existing because you would expect a young man like Ngala Gerard that probably he is the only person that understands what millions is about in his community. He's from Kambe, Ndu. He would have some sympathy. But because he is a gatekeeper of the Franco-Bulu Beti hegemony in Ambazonia, he will go the extra mile of funding the Bororo headsmen. Ngala Gerard is the #1 funder. We have reports, we have evidence to that. If Ngala Gerard, let Ngala Gerard take what we are saying now to court. 11 February this year, an IED exploded at the grandstand in Ndu, and those who claim responsibility were the vigilante, well-armed vigilante group organized and funded by Ngala Gerard. We need to understand which law in Cameroon law that says that a civilian, because he is a CPDM loyalist, should have armed groups. Are they saying that the Cameroon military is not sufficient? So these are different ways by which we saw what Moja Moja did to civilians, right? So these are different ways by which we have seen Cameroon directly and indirectly fund terrorist groups. We know that even Issa Chiruma, that was running for presidency, had a very strong fellowship with Boko Haram up north. So why are they taking funding from the United States that they want to fight terrorists up north? No, they took money from the United States to fight the same people they call their own people. Why they enable Boko Haram? Boko Haram, the same thing in Nigeria. Nigerians are saying that the Nigerian government has never been intentional about Boko Haram. It's the Nigerian government telling the world that they are incapable of neutralizing the activities of the Fulani herdsmen and Boko Haram? I don't think so. If they have government officials, recently we have seen over the news how the Nigerian government has negotiated with terrorists up north. But at the same time, they have some freedom fighters in their custody. So Ngala Gerard gets to the US embassy and gets his visa, comes into America, Galavan spends his money, goes into Squeeze and does everything, and gets back into Cameroon with armed groups that are oppressing his own people. He puts guns on their heads to wear CPDM outfits so that they can propagate poor beer, a vegetables. Beer was just a ridicule on the day of his swearing in. He didn't even know his left from his right. That's the president that French Cameroon has voted into power.